Your thing.
Bada bing, bada boom. Starting episode 3 of the Rum Dum Podcast. Yeah, I guess first, Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's the one movie we're talking about today that we both saw. Let's start. What'd you rate it out of 10? Because we're starting off no spoilers.
Okay,
then,
no spoilers.
No spoilers, then spoilers. So first we'll say whether or not we recommend the movie, and then we'll talk about what we thought about it.
All right.
So what'd you rate it out of 10?
Honestly, I enjoyed the movie. It was fun, but it's definitely that slapstick fun. The only reason, I don't say the only reason, but Marvel fans have all come together and said that they're so oversaturated with Marvel, but all the other movies that suck. And this was just kind of a way of a jubilee, jubilee's not the right word, alleviation. It was kind of like an outlet, a venting of all their frustration.
Yeah.
And they definitely, Marvel and Disney, I should say Disney, capitalized on that, and which they should have done. And so they smashed box office records. So it was a good movie. I liked it. It cannot be an 8 for me just because of the nature of the movie. I'm a little picky with my movies. I just know it's shtick, and that shtick for me can only go so far.
Yeah,
I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased a little bit of that.
How much you're going to enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine kind of depends on how much you like Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool's sense of humor and how they write and their sense of humor. A lot of it is going to hinge on that.
And a lot of people resonate with that dark, super dark, gory humor.
Dark, bordering on black humor, sometimes really brutal. No spoilers, but sometimes really brutal parts that,
Right. Even for Deadpool, there were some times where I was like, whoa, this is pretty rough, like, wow. So, and this might seem like a backhanded comment, but it definitely gets a 6.8. I know that's good. It sounds like I didn't enjoy this movie. I just can't give it a 7. Just because there were times where and this is my personal opinion, that the shtick kept beating the dead horse. It was the same kind of jokes over and over again. Was it funny? Yeah, it was funny. Was it cool? Yeah. Knowing that Deadpool can't die, knowing that Wolverine can't die, the action scenes, even though they were funny to watch, they had no gravitas. But that's the movie anyway. So it just, I cannot. It's not a movie that's supposed to be taken seriously, and since I can't take it seriously, it can't go any higher than a 7 or 7 at best.
Well, for me, I rate it somewhere between a 7 and an 8 because I guess more than you like stuff that's more over the top and kind of ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I do like it because a lot of the times when I watch super serious movies, because it's a movie, there's going to be some stuff that's not realistic. So my gauge for being able to accept it is lower. So that's why I like the baseline to be more ridiculous, like stuff like John Wick.
Right.
Because I know it's ridiculous. So if they make a mistake, it's like, well, who cares? Dude just fell down 100 flights of stairs and he's fine. So it's like, So yeah, I'm just more partial to over the top stuff when it comes to humor, action, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I rate it a little bit higher.
Okay. But we're going to get into the spoiler review.
All right, so we're done with the spoiler free. We have our review. We say it's recommended. We both have a thumbs up recommend, even though you rated it less than me.
Absolutely, it's definitely a must watch in the theater. It's fun, especially with a lot of people around that are Marvel fans.
Yeah,
if you have been able to be a purist and not see all the stuff that's in the movie before you go, you will definitely enjoy the movie more. And we will get to that in the spoiler review, I guess.
That's why I kind of don't even like watching trailers, period. Maybe a couple seconds. I can usually tell from a few seconds whether or not it's in my wheelhouse.
Well, to give them credit, I guess Warner Brothers or whoever the fart did, I don't know, not Warner Brothers, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Disney, Marvel Studios.
Still Disney. I don't know why I said Warner Brothers. But the only reason why I got privy to some of the cameos in the movie because I saw it on YouTube. Yeah. Motherfuckers were posting that out.
Yeah, I saw people were already making memes and stuff. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
Video, capturing the video on their phones and putting it on YouTube. I'm like, oh god.
Well, some of that stuff was in like full HD. Some of the clips I was, so people had already probably pirated it from other markets. But all right, I guess into spoilers. Mm-hmm. Spoilers.
Turn away now if you don't want spoilers. But I think most people have already seen the movie by now.
And I guess I'll put a timestamp to skip past it to the next movie review and skip these spoilers. And now, I thought it was so. I didn't know this. I don't think you told me. I think my friend Alex told me. I didn't know Gambit was from Louisiana.
Yeah, he's supposed
I
to
had
talk
no
like
idea.
that.
I thought they just did it as a goof, like a.
What's the
alternate
actor's name? Damn.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum did a great job on the accent. I think he makes a good Gambit. I don't see Gambit is more slender than Channing Tatum is.
But I think it works.
It works. I'm not complaining, but if you want to get very specific,
people say, "Oh, he's too thick to play." Well, it's like
that's true. Gambit was a very tall, lanky guy,
but it works.
But he's still tall and he's still lanky, but he nails the accent, and that's hard to do.
And I saw behind the scenes footage. Apparently, he actually went to like a karate school, or whatever, and learned how to do all that shit. He doesn't the flips and the jumping and the staff stuff.
Yeah.
He actually learned to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, the spoiler was Gambit does make an appearance, and talking to Aiden didn't even know who Gambit was. He's a young blood. He doesn't know who Gambit.
Well, I
is.
know who he was because I saw him in in the only thing I had known him from was like pictures from in the comics and X-Men Origins.
Okay. Well, because I was referring to Gambit. Like, I always secretly loved Gambit. Always wanted him to have his own movie, but let's face it, even the Wolverine movies were Wolverine, but all the X-Men movies were Wolverine movies. Let's just face it, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, yeah, I love Hugh Jackman, but I'm kind of over it.
Well, also, I think the reason that happened was because the idea of a cinematic universe, we have all these different that wasn't really as big, so they had to pick a guy to focus on.
That's fair, and Wolverine is an easy one to.
Because if that stuff had happened now, it would have been different. It would have been like, oh, you had the Iron Man movies and these. Because
the Avengers did it well.
Yes, but that wasn't really a thing at the
manage.
time. That idea wasn't quite a thing yet.
Screen time is tough to manage with all your different heroes and. Make sure they all get their character development. But you can do all your character developments in the individual movies. Yeah. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. You don't have to do it in one movie, which, you would never been able to do unless you had an 8-hour-long Marvel movie.
Yeah. And it was cool seeing Blade.
Oh, it was cool. So cool seeing Blade. Unfortunately, that was ruined for me. I would have loved to have seen Blade in there. Because I kind of forgot that, in Blade 3, that was a breakout action movie for Ryan Reynolds. Because Ryan Reynolds was a comedian actor. He did all these, remember Shenanigans? Mm-hmm. He did a National Lampoon. He was a funny comedian guy. Hence, he always kept his wittiness through his movies.
Yeah. And apparently someone on the set of that movie told him, hey, you need to fight to get a Deadpool movie made because you are Deadpool. Yeah. You are, like, perfect for that character. Yeah. And he is. I can't imagine who the hell else would do that.
Yeah. He'll forever be Deadpool, I think.
Just like... Well, it's funny because also Hugh Jackman will always be Wolverine. Like,
and I'm thinking about if they ever reboot X-Men, which I'm sure they will, maybe a decade from now.
Henry Cavill, the Cavill.
How in the fuck are they going to redo Wolverine? They should focus on Cyclops. Cyclops is a cool character.
They should focus on another one, but I kind of want to see the Cavalrine.
Cavalrine's
I want to
cool.
see the Cavalrine.
But aren't we done with Wolverine? I mean, collectively, consciously.
The movie should be focused on someone else, but here and there they might want to have Wolverine in there. So he shouldn't be the focus anymore. Yeah. But like, if he's gonna be in there, give it to someone else. I think Hugh Jackman's kind of done with that. Yeah,
I think there was I like the plot of Deadpool was good. It moved along well. I'm actually fascinated with the time cops, the time police. What do they call those guys?
The TVM. Apparently it's something from Loki, the Loki show. Yeah.
Like, I really like that sort of lore. I really like that idea that there's these time cops that protect the timelines. I thought that was really neat. I always liked that piece of lore. Unfortunately, I've never seen Loki, so I can't speak to that. But it is a good premise, and I like it.
They did a good enough job of explaining it to you. You don't have to have seen Loki to get with, because they explain it.
Right.
One thing I did think was kind of weak about the movie is at the end, like, even with your healing factor, if you short circuit the antimatter and pro matter machine, you will die.
Well, they have to give you some stakes, or it's not fun to watch.
Then they should have died.
Yeah, I know, but since they did together, since they held hands, but dude, but that's the point I was trying to get to earlier. Why is it 6.8? Is again, it's not a serious movie. It's a total satire. You're not supposed to take it seriously, but that can only go so far.
I thought it was weak.
No,
for me, even that was a little like that was weak.
Yeah, but you're supposed to suspend belief and enjoy the movie. It's everything is third wall breaks. It just is what it is.
The one thing I thought was crazy with that scene where it looks like they're about to get fried, I saw Wolverine's his shirt melts off. and you see him, I was like, okay, now that's for sure like a stunt
CGI
body.
Abs, CGI
Yeah.
abs.
But then I saw a picture behind the scenes where Hugh Jackman's looking at an iPad, and it's not. He looks like that.
No, man.
He looks like that. I thought for sure
shape,
this is
bro.
a.
I mean, sure, they put some oil on him. They get the lighting right.
The lighting. He's
You
probably
know.
he hasn't
Well,
had a glass
Homeboy
of water
worked,
in
man.
3 days.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Homeboy.
that's him.
Yeah.
That is him. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, dude. So it was cool. You know, I didn't know this, but of course, I think a lot of different actors, of course, they're characters, Marvel characters, were going to be in the film, or they were thinking like writing it in, and they asked Rodney Downey Jr.
To be
if he wanted to be Iron Man in the movie, and then he did not. He saw what was in the script, and he said no. So there was something they wanted to do to Iron Man. And he was like, "Fuck you, you know, I'm not doing that." And you know, I totally have respect for that because, I mean, at this point, Hugh Jackman's probably done playing Wolverine. He's getting, even though he looks amazing, but he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
He's done playing.
Well, he said he was done the last time. Right?
Yeah, but he did this as a joke, and that's
Yeah.
cool. And I'm glad, you know, I'm sure him and Ryan Reynolds have a good working career.
Yeah.
I went on a tangent, but what I wanted to say about Blade 3 was that was Ryan Reynolds' breakout action movie, was being Blade's sidekick. So he worked with Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
Wesley Snipes, you know, when it comes to Hollywood, you know, you need other people to hand you a rope.
Yep.
And, you know, Wesley Snipes did that for him. And guess what? You know,
Then he pulled him back up.
you know, a decade or two later, he, you know, helps West. I don't know, man. I think that's cool. Blade didn't have to be in this movie.
Nope.
None at all. And he just like, you know, and I thought that was really cool to see that camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, Ben Affleck was in it. They talked about Daredevil, too. It was like, where's Daredevil? Because Elektra was in the movie.
Apparently they tried to get Nick Cage to be Ghost Rider in it.
That'd be neat. I would love to see
That
Nick
would've been
Cage.
cool.
I wonder if he probably couldn't fit him in or
Yeah,
something
I
like
don't know.
that. Isn't he supposed to be something else in a movie coming up? Oh, who's supposed to be in the new Ghost Rider? I forgot. They actually cast somebody.
I didn't hear about
and
that.
I heard it and I was like, interesting. Okay. Well, hopefully Marvel has learned a lesson and Disney has learned a lesson that going woke gets you broke. I mean,
They made a reference to it in the movie.
yeah.
That won't go over well with the woke mob.
Yeah, like ooh. So I think they're realizing. I mean, dude, let's face it. We're going to talk about Alien was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And that movie rocked.
Well, Disney owns everything.
That movie rocked.
Yeah.
And that was not PC whatsoever. It was just a horror movie, period, plain and simple, done deal.
Yeah.
You know, it was nothing. There was no agenda being pushed. There was no hand holding, no placating.
I mean, it shows because you can have like a super, like Deadpool's a super fruity character.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
fine because
Yeah.
it's not like like that scene with the dog. Where it's like, oh, come here. Like, you can have it, and it not be.
But see,
like,
it's funny because
it's
I
not
remember,
like preachy. He just he is
right.
a
It's just
fruity
funny,
dude.
and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to feel preachy.
He's in the car. It's like I haven't been having a lot of vaginal sex lately.
Yeah, there was some good shit in that movie. It was funny shit.
But, yeah. All right. Well, I think
Definitely,
we're doing a shit sandwich with the script today. Because next we're doing the Borderlands movie.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a
This
shit
is
sandwich.
the shit in the middle of the
this
brioche
is
bread.
Hey man, this is all you, bro. So you want a shit sandwich?
The Borderlands movie.
Borderlands spoiler free. I have not
Spoiler-free
seen
part.
it, so this is gonna be your deal here.
So I watched this movie because I'm a fan of the games, but I think the only thing I really need to say in my spoiler-free part is if you see the trailer, it's exactly as bad as you would expect. Or if in some way you see that trailer and think it's good, well, I guess you'll probably like it. However
Yeah.
you feel about the trailer is how you're going to feel about it. If somehow you like it, you're going to like the movie. It's got 50% audience score, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah. But if you see that and go, oh, this is going to be terrible, slap together, cash grab, you won't like it.
Well, face value, because I haven't seen the movie. Face value, you look at the cast. It's a millennial game. Of course, they have picked. They have 3 different Borderlands games or 4.
They have several. There's
Okay.
like 5 or 6.
Well,
Actually, there's more than that.
So it's been going on through the
And the main
generations.
line is
and,
about
I mean,
4.
you are a Gen Z. You like Borderlands.
Yep.
So you're not going to be associated. I mean, you know who Kevin Hart is.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lee Curtis and I can't remember the other Kate Blanchett. Those 2 actresses are they're A-list actresses. It's hard to, but a lot of people don't know who they are. And it's strange to see them in this kind of movie because they've always done real higher echelon. Well, maybe not Jamie Lee Curtis because of Halloween and whatever, but Cate Blanchett has been in like Oscar nominated stuff.
Yeah.
And according to what you said with the movie that you saw, that the props look so bad.
Yeah, it looks like those made for TV sci-fi channel movie like Sharknado and shit. Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, most of their budget, because this was a high budget film.
That cast it was like 110.
It was the cast. They had to pay the cast probably half the budget.
I will touch on it because it is a thing. Actually, I kind of said this in my review on the main channel. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have went back to the days when I thought the casting was the problem. The movie is so bad that it's like they could have, like, the actors with what they had, I guess they didn't do a bad job. It's just the script was not there. It sounds like it was
the
written by
acting
ChatGPT.
chops here are good. I mean, they got Jack Black. Regardless of what you think about him, he is a good actor. He does his job.
He does well. Claptrap is just annoying.
Okay, well, I guess he does his job,
always. Right? Well, I guess we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. All right, so do not recommend. Do not recommend.
And this is coming from a Borderlands like fanboy.
I am a fanboy, but that's the only reason I spent the money on it was because I had to see for myself.
He sacrificed going to Alien Romulus with me, which is an amazing movie. It was an easy bet of a good movie, I think, and he did not go. Which is I saw it today. It's fresh on my mind. I'm castrating him because.
Well, hold on a second. We're in the Borderlands segment. Okay. We'll talk about aliens here in a minute. So we're going. I guess brief spoilers for Borderlands. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it because it's so bad. But if you're a fan and you don't want to give your computer malware trying to pirate this movie, because you definitely should not purchase a ticket in the theater. I'll tell you some of the stuff in it. So bafflingly, they have Tiny Tina, which I'll give the movie props. Tiny Tina is much more enjoyable to exist in the movies than the games. She doesn't have the cringy black accent. Oh yeah, these my girls. They'll pick up my badonk. Like, yeah, no. She's actually like a nice, she's all right character. But for some reason, they make her a clone of Lilith's mom. The Atlas Corporation is trying to make her a siren to open the vault.
Okay.
So I don't know why they do that in the games. It's just I don't get it. That's not a thing they do. Then at the end, when they finally get to the vault, the Destroyer of Worlds, it's a big deal. Just kills a guy, and then that's kind of it. They go have a party, get drunk, whatever. I think they did a good job with Krieg translating him to the screen, except for when you first see him, he looks like a low-budget cosplayer. The mask is just bafflingly terrible. Then later, when he actually goes to the wasteland, he was imprisoned in the first part of the movie. Then he looks fine. But Claptrap is annoying as shit, inconsistently written. And yeah, well, the character's supposed to be annoying is not an excuse. You gotta figure out how to work around it.
You gotta make him funny annoying.
Yeah, you gotta.
You know, you gotta somehow.
That is not an excuse. You gotta figure it out.
If he's just annoying, like purely annoying, not just to be annoying to the characters, is one thing. Being annoying to the characters is one thing, but being annoying to you, the viewer, is fucking.
And like my mom watched it, I was like, "Oh, I like Claptrap." And it's like, well, you watched him for an hour and a half. I've heard Claptrap for like dozens of hours. Like it's enough. That's really it. Yeah, bad. And,
so I mean, the plot. Like, can
decisions.
you summarize like A, B, C, D? So what happened? Where were they going?
Lilith is collecting a bounty, and the guy who runs Atlas shows up and says, "Hey, I have another bounty for you. I need you to rescue my daughter from Pandora." And she's like, "No, I'm busy. I have this guy that I'm cashing in," and so he shoots him in the head. It's PG-13, so he has a black bag and there's no blood.
Okay.
So he shoots him in the head, and then she's like, "Well, you don't have enough money to make me go to Pandora." He touches his Apple Watch and cash apps her some money, and she's like, "Oh, I guess you do have enough money." And so she goes to get the girl.
You know why that's not okay? So what I'm learning about script writing and stuff, and then just writing a good story. Period. That's a listen and accept scene. And that is the most boring scene. If someone just tells you, "Hey, do this," and you just say, "Yeah, sure," it's just not very there should be a. I mean, yes, she was resistant at first.
Not really.
But she says, "No, I don't want to do this." No, I mean but that's very artificial.
Yeah.
It's not an emotional like, okay, no, I have my grandmother's dying or whatever the fuck, something else. Yes, that's there to get the plot moving, and they want you to go on this roller coaster ride. So they want to make this. I'm sure I haven't seen the movie, but they want to make this movie a long roller coaster ride for you to ride.
That seems to be the intent.
So, yeah, that's why it makes it very entertaining.
So anyway, she goes to the planet Pandora. fails to get Tiny Tina, and then she realizes that she's being protected by Roland, Kevin Hart, and Krieg.
Okay.
And then Tiny Tina explains to Lilith that she is a clone, and they are doing horrific experiments on the other clones to try to figure out how to open the vault. So essentially, if she returns her to Atlas, she's going to get tortured until she dies, or the vault opens, whichever comes first. So she decides she's going to join Kevin Hart and protect her from Atlas.
Okay.
And then they do this. They meet up with Dr. Tanis, and then Claptrap makes an ass of himself and leads the stormtroopers right to them, so they have to escape.
So Claptrap is whose robot? Roland's robot?
I'll explain. Let me explain a little further, and then it'll make sense.
Okay.
So we know at this point in the movie that somebody has programmed Claptrap to follow Lilith.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, later in the movie, it is revealed that Lilith's mom straight up Princess Leia R2-D2'd Claptrap, where he finds a thing and then he collapses and puts out a hologram of her to explain to Lilith why she's so special, because she's the siren. So you know that scene in Star Wars where R2-D2, whoop, they do that, but it's Claptrap is R2-D2, and he Princess Leia's that shit.
Oh, shit.
And then she explains what happened, that she left her with Tanis, and then Tanis kind of pawned her off to get her away from the planet. And then Destiny, I guess, brought her back to open up the vault. And then they fight through a stronghold of, what do you call them, psychos.
Yeah.
And also, to the movie's credit, that's one of the few times the movie actually feels like Borderlands, when they're in Bloodshot Stronghold, but that doesn't last long. So then they run around, unconsequential stuff. They find the vault. They're like, no. Actually, well, first what happens is Tiny Tina tries to open the vault. Guess what? She's not a siren. That's not how any of this works. So then they force Lilith to open it. She opens it. She gets superpowers, kills all the bad guys, and then the Destroyer of Worlds kills the guy from Atlas, and then everybody acts like the Destroyer of Worlds is no big deal, and they go out and drink. And
That sucks, dude. That sucks.
That's the end of the movie.
That sucks, man. Well, I'm sorry that you were disappointed.
The last bad guy of the movie, basically, to get defeated is Bunker. If you played Borderlands, you're like, what? Yeah. Bunker is like the last big bad guy in the movie.
For people who don't know?
This big ship that it's like a ship with guns on it that you fight, and there's some good loot drops from it, but it's like really Bunker. It's a ship that shoots you.
Oh, wow.
Like, really?
Kind of lazy writing.
Really? Anyway.
Crazy, bro.
All right, well, that's it. Borderlands has been done. Now it's on to the movie that I haven't seen, but he has. Alien and Romulus.
And we're going to start with a spoiler-free first. And then, I hate to spoil it for you, bro.
It's all right.
It's so good, man.
It's all right.
So, seeing the trailers, I was very hyped about this movie. I've always loved the Alien franchise. Of course, most people agree, and I agree with most people, that Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and of course the Alien vs. Predator movies are just subpar to the first two Alien movies that are in the franchise, which is Alien and Aliens. Alien was directed by Ridley Scott. Aliens was directed by James Cameron, who needs no introduction, right? So, seeing the trailers, it was great. Basic, people that were talking, seeing the test screenings, it was a recurrence or a resurgence of back to form factor of horror factor. No more origin. It's not an origin movie. It's not any kind of anything like that, which people had qualms with. But I love the Prometheus films. I liked them. They were good. So, having that said, you pick apart the trailers. Fede Alvarez, which is an amazing. After seeing this movie, I've never seen his other horror movies. This guy is truly a master at horror. You could say, well, I don't watch enough horror movies to say that, but I'm telling you right now, this guy knows his stuff. It is so good. He knows how to build a scene. He knows how to put pressure upon pressure, raise the stakes upon raising the stakes, and when you realize the stakes can't be even higher, they really are. And he's just really good at this, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole movie. So having that said, people have loved this movie. Fans have loved this movie. Critics have liked this movie. It's not a perfect movie. There are some criticisms. Actually, most criticisms I find run a little flat, and I'm going to explain why.
Well, first, would you or would you not recommend it?
Oh, I would recommend it highly. Highly recommend this movie. I mean, I can't recommend it enough. That's how ridiculously fanboy I am about this movie. And I don't have rose-colored glasses on because I'm a fanboy. Because as we've seen, as me and you seem to be objective thinkers, you love Borderlands, but yet your rose-colored glasses never made it to the theater. Apparently.
They weren't tinted enough to trick me into liking that movie.
Oh, wow. So, no, this movie is totally entertaining, and Fede Alvarez deserves much praise for this, especially taking on such a revered franchise. I mean, let's face it. And Ridley Scott made this point on the red carpet of like an early opening for Alien Romulus. He said, "Alien is the best monster put onto film," and I have to agree with him. Now, of course, we can't give credit with the monster creation without talking about H.R. Geiger. And of course, the Alien movie, as some people might not know, was a collection of artists that were building a movie called Dune. Everyone knows that movie, but before the David Lynch 80s Dune came out, Alejandro Jodorowsky, which was a crazy cult director who did all kinds of mythical, I think Sacred Mountain or the Cold Mountain, I can't remember the name of it, but a very mythical Aleister Crowley journey through the subconscious mind. That's the kind of stuff he did, and he wanted to do Dune, but American producers were like, this movie cannot be made. This is too crazy. He wanted Salvador Dali to play the Emperor. He wanted Mick Jagger to play. It was ridiculous. And honestly, the demands for that movie was ridiculous. Okay, but the artists that worked on that movie were disgruntled because the movie wasn't made, and they end up making Alien. All that sort of leftover concept art made its way into Alien, and that's why Alien, I don't hate to say it, but truthfully is a part of history. At this point, I can't. It has solidified its significance within the zeitgeist, cinema zeitgeist. So I can't recommend this movie enough. It's almost a part of American cinema lore at this point to see this movie. I mean, to say it American pastime is probably not the right thing to say, but it definitely feels kind of like that.
Yeah, it's an important part of movie history.
It really is. There was so much creative minds involved.
Before you get into the spoiler stuff, just real quick, do you recommend it to people who have not seen the other Alien stuff, or should they go ahead and watch?
Absolutely, it's a wonderful standalone. You do not have to watch the older movies. It definitely helps gain some context, but the movie that Alvarez has set out is just it's more than just a slasher film, but it world builds itself so well you don't need to, and we're gonna get to in the spoiler review why it's so good.
All right. Well, yeah, get in the spoiler territory.
This is actually for Aiden, because Aiden, he's going to be ruined by...
I'm going to watch it. Well, side tangent. I feel like this is a movie that I don't think spoilers are... Well, I mean, I guess you know better than me. Mm-hmm. But usually, movies that are like deep and have a lot of stuff going on, it doesn't really upset me to have spoilers. It's more of stuff where I'm super invested in the whole world. I want to have that moment where I'm like, oh my God.
No, it's not like it's just such a good movie. So the premise of the movie, which is you can gather this from the previews and the trailers, that you've got a bunch of young adults who live on this colony planet. It's a mining planet, and Weyland-Yutani pretty much runs everything on this planet. It's a small colony of, I think they showed the population. It's like really small, like 20,000 or 2,000 people. It's really small, but it's very condensed in this small area, and you never get to see the sun. Okay, so this is going to come later, actually, cinematographically. And the world building, and really the emotional building. He does such a good job in building the emotion in this movie. Anyway, so of course, when you start off with a movie, you start off with your character's social disposition. She goes to the colony, Weyland-Yutani colony administration office, and she's done with her indentured servitude contract, and she's ready to go to this planet that's lustrous and has air and sunlight, and she wants to go there. And of course, as soon as the old lady behind the desk looks at her and literally types in, "Oh, you can't leave yet. You're," even though it's said on the TV on the computer screen, "Oh, she's done." She just extends her like for another 5 years. You know, so it's really gross, right? And it starts off, and with her is her android brother. Now, when you think of androids, you think super smart, super strong, all this stuff. Well, this android is like a little defective, and he is a facsimile of a retarded, slow child. And it already starts off with this super emotionally vulnerable position. She cares for him. He acts like he doesn't sound retarded or anything, but he's kind of slow when he talks. He makes these silly, corny jokes that are super corny to humans, and he always repeats them. So, you know, you start off with a very just emotional bond with these two. And then when she's in the office, he gets picked on by a bunch of kids, and they're just punching him and shit. And, you know, so you're already building this emotional attachment. It's just so good. And then, you know, she's in dire straits. She knows she's got to stay for another 5 years, so she's desperate. So who calls her? One of her ex-boyfriends. Hey, I want you to come over, check it out. I got something to talk to you about. She's like, okay, whatever. So she goes over there. There's another couple friends there. And he's there. And he's like, so there's dirt roads. There's no paved roads. And all these, it's like literally a trailer. It's like the space age trailer park, but they're all metal and they look space age. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny how it looks. So she gets there. She sees everybody. They recognize each other. It's a friendly moment. And he actually, the first person to be nice to the android, his name's Andy, is her ex-boyfriend. Now they're not really, they don't hate each other. They're in good terms. So it doesn't seem like on and off again, girlfriend and boyfriend kind of thing. I don't know. It doesn't really go into it, which is a good thing. They don't waste time with it. But so he's nice to Andy. He's like, you know. Anyway, I shouldn't explain the whole movie. I should start to do.
Explain the parts that you either do or don't like.
Right.
What works and doesn't.
I'll just say, I don't want. I'm sitting here explaining the whole movie. I'm gonna catch myself. But so, the idea is that he does such a good job in building your emotional attachment to this cast. Like I've never been more emotionally attached to an alien cast, like Alien or Aliens. You've never been more emotionally attached to these 6 individuals. I think it's 6, yeah. And so the premise is they were like, okay, well, we can go to the planet, and I forgot what the planet's name is, but this wonderful lustrous planet. We can get the hell off this rock, and all we need to do is get these cryotubes from the Wayland space station in orbit that we've found. Right, and you know, because we don't have enough cryo fuel. They call it cryo fuel in the movie, because we need to go under for 9 years. So that's what they need. So okay, so they get there, and you know, some weird things happen that's not supposed to happen, and so the face huggers are being like, you know, stuck in this anyway. I don't know. Again, I'm explaining the movie. I'm trying not to get into that, but he does such a good job in raising the emotional stakes. The most important thing is that Andy eventually gets uploaded. Like, so there's an android, an old android from the first movie. He's like already decapitated, or not decapitated, but he's like
it's
serrated.
The same one from the first.
It's not
movie?
the same one. It's the same model.
Okay,
it's the same model. So they're able to. She takes the disc. So there's like this little disc in the back of the neck of the
shard.
Android. Yeah. So she takes him, and Andy gets uploaded. So he's like super smart now. He's always been super strong, but now he's better equipped to do super strength stuff. But he now has a new director for the company. So you know, so you don't know if Wayland or if Andy's a good guy or not. He's on his own thing now. So the big scene, you know, the face huggers come out. When they pull the cryotube out of this laboratory, the face huggers start to warm up, and that's what wakes them up, because the cryo fuel was being used to keep the face huggers at bay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of how it all starts, and everything all the bad stuff that happens to them are very organically progressed.
It works.
And then they realize, the space station is actually going to crash. There's a ring around the planet, and that's what makes great cinematography fuel. There's so many great scenes where the space station is crashing into the ring, and it's just so fucking cool to look at, dude. And I gotta explain the best picture from the movie, but overall, the reason why this movie works so well is that you're so emotionally invested. He does such a good job. And so when all the crazy shit that happens to these people, so you find out that one of the girls, not the main character, but one of the girls is pregnant, and it's kind of hinted that the guy that was with the Asian chick that's a pilot, I can't remember the character's name. Like, their thing but I think his side chick was the homegirl that was there, and he got her pregnant. It doesn't really
just hinted at.
It'll
probably be theorized, argued about.
So
later.
eventually, as you see in the trailer, the pilot, who's the bald Asian chick, she gets chest bursted. She's the one that got face hugged. She gets chest bursted. She's on the floor freaking out, or she's not freaking out, but she's like when the face hugger, because eventually they just fall off.
Yep.
And Andy at this point is like super smart now. He's like, don't do anything. You're gonna kill her. Da 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 da. So they end up leaving them, like the pilot and her boyfriend, and the pregnant chick who actually has pregnancy sickness is stuck on she stayed on the ship because she's just sick, and that's gonna come in later. So anyway, they go back. They actually portray them, said, fuck it, we're out of here. But then they chest burst on the ship. That's when the alien comes out. The alien gets back on the ship in another way. It's just so good. So the thing about the movie that a lot of people give it somewhat good critique, and I see why it's a little flat for me, is because they say that it does too much nostalgic nods. And there's nostalgic nods in the movie. There is that line that was famous in Aliens, was like, "Get your hands off her, you bitch." Yeah. Okay, so that line was used. To me that was, but there's so many. The nostalgic nods are more in the cinematography, not in the quotes.
Well, that's fine,
and that's fine for me.
It's like the quotes where it sometimes gets a little like really.
It's stupid. So it's really more like cinematics.
Yeah.
Like with from Alien 3, which actually, when you think of the Alien franchise, you always see this iconic picture from Alien 3 when the alien's really close to Ripley.
Oh, in the shower
that scene
with the little mouth.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that scene was like same scene was used, but there's these parts in Alien which is kind of funny where fans will sit there and discuss, like, how does the alien grow so fucking fast? He kind of shows you how it does. So what happens is when the thing pops out, when the chest burster pops out, if it sheds its skin like a snake, and then it finds somewhere to, like, it built up another cocoon, and then it gets bigger. So it kind of shows you how it works, and it's kind of neat. And it shows, and it has this point where he kills the pilot and her boyfriend, and it shows the alien pulling them into the hive. So it has those moments in there. And then when everything ramps up, because the last, like, of course, Rain is the main character's name. Can't remember the actress's name, but she's a sole survivor, and Andy survived. So her boyfriend is the second last one to die, and he kind of dies without firing a shot. Like this ailien comes out of nowhere and just sticks him with his tail. Like a lot of tail kills in this fucking film. Some people call this a B budget horror ending. I don't think so. To me, the last monster was horrifying. Now, the big part of the plot is the laboratory not only was synthesizing the black goo that was in Prometheus. So the black goo actually makes a reappearance in this movie, and it's supposed to. And so they make a point where people on this mining colony are dying from, like, the black lung, pretty much. Yeah. Okay, from mining and shit. So Wayland China's like, well, we have a way of and they also talk about, well, humans were never meant for being in space. So we're trying to upgrade the human. Yeah. So we're using this black goo that's total life, and all you do is stick you with it, and it upgrades you, right? Yeah. They're trying to figure it out. So they're messing with the black goo. So it does nod to Prometheus in that way, because they're black goo in that. It's, the black goo, right? So, of course, this stuff is unstable, and it kind of reminded me of. Remember the game Dead Space? Yeah. It had that same zombie kind of feel to it, because if you put this stuff in you, it showed like the android was trying to sell the cast with this idea, but they didn't show. Android didn't show that it actually is unstable. Of course, it shows the audience, because it shows a rat and it shows it getting killed, but then, like, when it gets stuck with the black goo, it, like, heals itself. But they're like, oh, see, it works. And then as soon as, like, the video keeps playing and they leave the room, but it shows the audience that the rat turns into this big, gross, fucking alien looking thing. Yeah. So it's pretty funny, but it does heal you. I guess it transforms you. So it's a little bit of metamorphosis horror, body horror, of course. Body horror. Yeah. So that's a big part of the film. So the pregnant girl, she's pregnant. I can't remember how she's bleeding. I can't remember why she got hurt by the alien or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened, but she's gonna die. So their plan is, they're like, oh, let's inject her with this black goo, and she's like, no, we can get her to the cryo chamber, and then when we get to the planet, they'll heal her. And they're like, okay, let's do that. But while on the transport back to the cryo tube in the ship, because there's a space station in the ship that they came in.
Yeah.
On the way back, something happens. They get in contact with the alien or some shit, and she freaks out, and she sticks herself. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she's putting herself in the cryo tube, and she gives birth. Yeah. Actually, well, the second act is over. They pretty much blow up the spaceship. The spaceship runs into the ring. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool scene. It is a beautiful, one of the best space explosions, because they're very generic. Yeah. Whenever something explodes in space and it's supposed to be epic, it's just like this big ball of flame. It's like, woo, big deal. This is fucking epic. This is absolutely, cinematographically, it's fucking epic, bro.
This is something I actually heard about this on Twitter 2 days ago. That was the scene making people walk out. I heard that somebody gives birth to some sort of horrific homunculus entity. And that's what I heard was the scene that was grossing people out about this movie.
Well,
was that.
Okay, so I was gonna so after Act 2 is done, spaceship's dead, and actually there's a hive on the spaceship because there was these people on the ship that were doing this research. Well, they all got hived up, and they were all there's a bunch of different aliens on the ship. There's not just one, right? So anyway, she actually comes, and there's an action scene with her with a gun, and she shoots these things. I didn't even get to another great scene from that movie, but I'm trying to make this brief because I'm catching myself.
It's more a review. You don't have to.
I know.
It's a review, not a recap.
Man. I'm trying to do a good recap. Cinematography is amazing. The score of this movie is so fucking good. Orchestral score, beautiful sound design. I mean, there's so many good things about this movie. So what happens is Act 3, she puts everything seems to be fine. They made it. They killed the alien. She puts Homegirl into the cryo chamber. She doesn't know she stuck herself with this goo. She doesn't know that yet. And so she's doing some last touch-ups on the ship before she goes in the cryo chamber. And next thing you know, one of the cryo chambers, the light turns green to red, like critical, like a cryo ending. Fatal error, not fatal error, but vital signs are failing or some shit. Yep. So she pulls her out, and then she's like, now she's super. She was only pregnant, barely. Now she's super pregnant, and she's giving birth to this thing, and it pops out like the normal way, not a chest burster, and it's like an egg, and it I don't know, it's got acid coming out of it, so it falls down somewhere, and she's got to go find it, right? And the girl's still alive. I gave birth. She's like, what the fuck is this? She's freaking out. So she's out of it. So Rain grabs a, you don't know what it is. It's like a pack and a gun. And it's like an ice spray. Anyway, so she goes down. She's gonna shoot this thing, whatever it is. The cocoon opens up. It's a human baby. So she hesitates. And then eventually, it falls down again because the acid pops out when it opens up.
Oh, and it melts through the floor.
Yeah, it melts through the floor. And she's trying to find it. Next thing you know, this thing is a huge human fucking... Almost looked like an engineer, but a really gross engineer with all the weird biomechanical spine. And
something almost like from Dead Space?
Almost kind of like from Dead Space. Yeah, very similar. This movie reminded me of... And so I think a lot of criticism comes around... Don't get me wrong. It was scary looking at this thing because it felt like Uncanny Valley. It's a human,
but it's kind of not.
But it's kind of not,
really.
and so people maybe lost the suspense of belief when they saw that. They couldn't. They I don't know. But
I'd honestly I'd have to see it.
It freaked me the fuck out,
movie.
bro. It freaked me out. I was like, holy fuck, this thing.
You don't really get into the horror much. I think we're kind of done with the spoiler review. We're just talking now.
Yeah.
I think you're not really that much into horror, so
that's true. But I know I've seen some good horror, and I know good horror when I see it. This is This is good because the stakes are always raised. Yeah. So the time clock is always ticking, and then it ticks faster, and then it ticks even faster. Then it happens, and then you still got more time. It's just crazy. Anyway, so that was the scene that people thought was too much. For a horror fan, I think it wasn't. It's more of it wasn't that. It's gory, of course. Giving birth is gory, period. But it was the subconscious factor that got a lot of people upset. Which is totally fine because she doesn't want anything to do with the baby, right? So there's a lot of weird subliminal messages happening here. And this thing's evil, so it ends up eating her, the mother.
Yeah.
And it is pretty rough.
Yeah.
Right. So, but no, the movie is good just because he just knocks it out of the park. And so, okay, so the most awesome scene in the movie, actually. Of course, they in a formulaic fashion, they jettison the alien to its death. Okay,
push it out the airlock.
They push it out the airlock, but this is actually a creative way to do it. She uses the acid from the egg. She's in a cargo ship full of coal. That's where they fight. That's where they have the last fight scene. While the alien's trying to kill her, she dumps the acid onto the ground. And then it just sucks her. Oh, yeah. It just sucks everyone in. And she's got the cable. She's in a spacesuit, so she's protective. Yeah. Very similar to the first movie. And so there's another little scene where you think he's done, but his tail got stuck to the thing, and they have another little fight. A first-person view of the alien coming at her. Oh, it was cool. Anyway, so the alien finally dissolves into space dust or whatever. Yeah. But the ship is on. While all this is happening, the ship is on manual mode, and it's getting lower to the ring that you've already saw the space station get destroyed by. So you know there's imminent death no matter what. Yeah. So when the alien finally dies, she's hanging from the spaceship on a fucking steel cable, and she's got your back's turned. There's a silhouette, and you see the ring. And you see she's dangling from the ship, and the orchestral music is blaring, and it is so fucking epic, bro. Yeah. It is unreal. Like, she's hanging down, you see the ring, bro, it is so good. Anyway, and then she kind of is done. So that was that last scene was, I don't think I know a better ending. Yeah. You know, and yes, there's nostalgic nods. Yes, they do the formulaic killing by the airlock. You know, so all this is, but this, I don't know. It was a great movie because you're emotionally invested. That's as long as you nail that. Yeah. Really, you can almost do anything.
You can get away with a lot.
You can get away with a lot.
That, yeah.
So anyway, I'm rambling. If you don't stop me now, I'll just talk about the whole movie. I'm such a fanboy.
Here, let's since this is the Rum Dum Pod, I gotta get a little refill here.
Let's do some refill action. Yeah, this is Black Magic we're drinking. How's about that? One more.
A little splash. I ain't gotta work tomorrow.
Well, if you want to go see it, let me know.
Watch it either.
Let me know because it was that good. I'll see it again.
You want to watch it again?
I thought if there's any more general. You know, things I want to talk about the movie, but really the world building was great. Oh, it definitely sets up for a sequel.
Well, yeah.
I mean, because she goes at the end of the movie, she and her android go. The android's injured, but you could tell he's going to survive. And so they're on their way to their paradise planet. So, and there's no alien on board. Whatever alien was that the goo guy, the goo guy, and I think, but there's goo still. They still have the vials of goo. They brought it with them. It's just, it was so good, man. Anyway, so
in other movie news, do we have any? Let's see.
Any other movies coming up?
Any other thoughts on what about the second Joker? What do we think about that?
Well, you know, funny that you mentioned that. There was one of the previews in the movie. Of the Alien Romulus movie that I saw today, and I didn't know they were going to do this, and this is highly experimental, and I don't know how I feel about it. It's literally a musical.
Joker 2?
Joker 2 is going to be a musical, because it's got Lady Gaga in it.
I want to do a side tangent before I forget. Okay. So I can't remember where I heard this, but it's 100% true, because the last few of them I've seen ads for, musicals... At least modern ones. Yeah. Hide the fact that they are musicals in the trailers because people don't want to go see a musical. They lie to you.
They do.
They lie to you. This is a fact. And Joker 2, I had no. How did you find out it was a musical?
Because it was not through the trailer, because the trailer doesn't really give that away. I would have never known that. I only know from an article that told me.
Okay.
That was it.
The most recent Willy Wonka movie, they lied about it.
I never knew that was a musical.
They lied about it, and that they tricked you. And the Cursed movie, which I think everybody who's a fan of that knows it's a musical, but I had no idea. The one with the green witch lady that goes to
So why do a musical if no one likes them?
People do like them, but not enough to sell it. Most people have to be tricked into seeing a musical.
Then why do a fucking musical?
Some people do like it. Some people do like it.
That's fucking goofy, bro.
But yeah, it's a thing. They lie.
We're about to do a Grease fucking
They
Joker
lie,
Batman.
dude. That is interesting, though. I wonder how that's going to go. Because the first one was so, like, somber and serious.
And it's a great movie. Joker 1 was wonderful.
Most of the musicals I've seen are, like, kind of lean on, like, comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're serious, it's in a romantic way. But this is a thing about a guy who, like, killed people. This is weird.
It's very strange. Knowing this, I'm kind of distaste from it, even though I love the first Joker movie. So I'm part of that category that's like, no, yeah, don't sell me a musical because I ain't fucking going, dude.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm just so curious.
I mean, but at the same time,
this is the only time I've been excited to see a musical because it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So it's like I gotta see it. It's almost the same reason I went to watch Borderlands. So I was like, I gotta see.
You gotta see the train wreck.
Well, I think it's at least gonna be a good quality movie. I'm not really into musicals.
I agree. I honestly think it's gonna be a good movie. Lady Gaga, I think she's for her chops. She's of course a great performer. It's gonna translate to acting. She's gonna be a good actor. I don't think she's a
good actress. I've seen her in stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Joaquin Phoenix, you don't have to worry about. It's just a presentation of the medium being a musical. I'm like, what the fuck, But I don't know.
I'm curious to see what they do with it. 'Cause I'm guessing they're going to use the fact that this Joker is a unreliable narrator, and we see the movie through his mind.
Right.
So that's probably why it's going to be a musical, because
Maybe.
a lot of the movies, just like the first one, didn't actually happen. We're seeing the world through his eyes.
I find it so strange how you have a very serious, almost psychological thriller as Joker was.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Taxi Driver. I think that was a big inspiration for the movie. Have you seen Taxi Driver?
100%. It's almost, you could almost say it's a ripoff of Taxi Driver.
And then you go to Grease. Like, what the fuck? Like,
you could almost,
Grease Lightning all of a sudden?
You could almost say that first movie is a ripoff of Taxi Driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could almost say that.
But it was still a good movie.
Yeah.
But going from that to... It's like, okay, make a reference. Alien, the first Alien, was a horror thriller sci-fi. The second movie went to more of an action movie.
Yeah.
That was a change of form, but it was still within a sort of paradigm that made sense.
Yeah.
This is a fucking musical?
Well, also, something else that kind of followed this pattern, as someone who's more into horror, the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was a very dark, plotting, hillbilly horror movie. Mm-hmm. And the second movie might as well have been a comedy, a straight-up black comedy. Jesus. Like, it is silly.
Oh, wow.
It is a comedy, like a black comedy.
Isn't that what happened with our good man Bruce Campbell's movies? With the first, the first.
That was a more gradual turn, and the humor was there in the first one, barely.
Yeah, barely.
But it was very gradual, and I think it was a better direction. In Texas Chainsaw, it was
abrupt.
Movie to movie.
Yeah.
It went from this dark. It was actually apparently the guy who made it. It was a comment on the meat industry. He was like a vegan or something, and like they put people on meat hooks in that movie. They're cannibals. Fuck. Anyway, but the second one was like a black comedy. Just immediately shift change.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do respect directors that try to do different things, to try to experiment. You don't get to break new ground. You don't get to break, you never know what idea could really hit.
Yeah.
You really don't know, and so I respect that. But I just, don't get me wrong, I just feel like this is, who thought of this? Like, what was the idea? I mean, I guess, like, when Lady Gaga showed up, it's like, hey, let's do a musical. Like, she changed the script.
I'm going to go into this with an open mind. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, they could do something cool with this.
I'm not saying it's going to be a bad movie.
It's just such something cool with this.
How were they able to, how was the studio able to sign off on this when they don't sign off? They're so afraid of deviant. Don't give me, Hollywood right now has been the most...
They're
stuck.
Scared
They're scared to do fucking anything. Anything that's coming out now, we're talking about The Crow that's coming out.
Yep.
They cannot do any new IPs.
Yep.
I mean, I love Alien, but it was not a new IP.
Nope.
Borderlands.
Oh, they're making another Gladiator. Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix, they're doing a new Gladiator movie.
Yeah, and honestly, I saw very small trailers of it, and it's directed by Ridley Scott. So Gladiator. Well, Gladiator 1 is, but Gladiator 2 will be directed by Ridley Scott as well. I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be some weird spin-off. I wasn't excited about it. I was like, oh, God, what is this? I saw the trailer, and I'm excited for it. And knowing that Ridley Scott's directing it, yeah, it does give me some credence to go see the movie. Yeah, it is what it is. But I saw the trailer. It's another retelling. Actually, it's a retelling of the fall of Rome. This is happening during like the time when Rome is falling, which is, of course, a theme right now with Western civilization on the edge in quotations, right? So, so there's a theme going on there. It looks good. It looks really good. And they actually show the Colosseum being filled up with water. They're having because that's historically accurate. They did that, which baffles me to this day. The logistical, task that was to fill a Colosseum up with water and keep it there. Like, what the hell? Yeah. So it looks good.
The Crow. A lot of people are dookie on that movie.
Well, I don't know why. Of course, being a fan of the first Crow, and it has some cultural significance. During the 90s, everyone listened to Nine Inch Nails, and everybody was loving the Tim Burton movies and shit like that. Speaking of which, Beetlejuice is coming out. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
I saw the trailer for that.
That's going to be real. You can't say no to Keaton, man. You cannot say no. You can't say no to Keaton. But, oh God, what were we talking about again?
We were talking about the Crow.
Crow, yeah. So I haven't seen the full trailers of it. I've kind of ho-hummed it. I just looked at it. I was like, okay, this looks okay. I think since it's so beloved, people are just having that knee-jerk reaction, like what the fuck. And another reason why people do beloved the first Crow is because Brandon Lee died in the movie during the filming of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense that there's a knee-jerk reaction because they did a Crow sequel, like a couple of years after the Crow 1.
This is a full-on reboot.
Yeah, but they did a Crow sequel like a couple of years after the first Crow came out. No one liked it. It was crappy. It was garbage. So people are definitely like, oh God,
Yeah.
But the idea is cool. A very romantic. Dude dies, wants to come back and save his lover. I like that. It could be cool if done well. It could be okay.
Yeah.
I think again we're going down. We're rehashing. Hollywood's just rehashing so many IPs. They can't make any new IPs. And I think maybe people, just like people were oversaturated and just tired of all the Marvel films. They're probably just tired of all the like Ghostbusters. I mean, you name it. So many IPs are just rehashes. Hollywood can't take a chance. So, I'm lukewarm on the Crow. I'm not too judgmental about it. It could be okay, but I'm kind of like, neither. I'm very neutral on it.
Vidya games. I guess we'll talk about Vidya games for our last
your
little bit
channel,
here.
right?
Yeah, my channel, the main channel, Cast Iron Macaroni. I just finished my Let's Play of Nobody Wants to Die. Did you watch?
I watched the first episode. I just haven't got to the other episodes.
Yeah.
I love the premise of the game. I think it would have been a great movie.
Yeah.
So again,
do you want spoilers or no?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah.
So that movie, I'm not going to give a recap of the whole story because I want you to watch the videos.
Don't be like
I'm just not going to be concerned with spoiling.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do like a recap. I think it's pretty good, but it's the type of game where, again, I haven't played through it multiple times, but it seems like it's very linear. This is more of an interactive novel type thing.
Okay.
Where I've heard there's like 2 or 3 different endings, but it seems like most of it, I think, is you get what you get.
So there's not a lot of action like a BioShock game or something like that?
No. You are using your magical wrist device to rewind and fast forward through crimes. You have like a UV lamp. You have like an X-ray thing that can trace like bullets midair.
Wow.
So you're basically
trying to solve
having like a magic TV remote, and you're
Yeah.
scrubbing through these different crimes that happen to try to figure out what's going on.
It's
and then
kind of a
through
good
that
change of pace from most video games,
And then they have these segments. I can't remember what they call them. It's like the idea board or something, where you have these different pieces of clues. And then you put the clues next to each other to try to formulate like an explanation. And as you're doing that, you're the lady at the office is talking to you. and you have to piece together the clues to try to figure out what's going on. That's
it's kind of
cool.
like, you remember, have you ever played the Myst games?
No.
It was an older game, and then, I don't know, late 90s, very popular on the PC. And Myst was like this island, but it was very mystical and magical. And really, it's not an action game, but it was a puzzle game. Because you had to go to these different small buildings, and you had to, like, turn certain knobs and do certain things. It was like a click adventure. Like, you wouldn't walk around like a Doom game or something. Like, you would click, and then you would move forward. And then you would click there, you would turn left or turn right. A lot of people loved it because it's very atmospherical. It's a puzzle game. Of course, it's not like that, but it's a puzzle game in that sense. Where you're not trying to kill people, you're not trying to upgrade your gun or your abilities or something. You're just trying to figure shit out, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of, like I said, it's a good change of pace. And
I really liked. Also, it's about a chain smoking alcoholic detective.
Yeah, of course.
Disco Elysium.
Oh yeah,
that was a great game.
Yeah,
I love that, the art style, the writing. I believe it is now fully voice acted.
Oh wow.
Although I didn't. We'll talk about that in a second. But I really loved that game, and unlike from what I can surmise from Nobody Wants to Die, every single detail of the story is up to you. There's so many different branching paths and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Text game can offer that sort of myriad of.
But it's not just text; it's also fully painted.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's so cool, and like the characters are 3D models as well. So good, such a good game.
Yeah,
because unlike some text games where they're kind of just writing the dialogue, this actually feels like reading a book because the different skill trees you spec into are the different parts of your psyche.
Right.
So you can like make your character be like a super hardcore, like conservative cop, or you can make him like a crazy like communist. Yeah. Like you can build like the belief system of your character, which flavors how the different parts of their mind.
That's neat,
speak.
Dude. That's really. I saw you play it a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool.
And then each one of those different ideologies your characters possess have a giant mural that forms together that you can look at.
Oh wow!
Where each piece of your psyche makes this big mural in your brain. So that's just amazing. Yeah, and I just kind of liked actually reading it, not having the voice acting, because I read a lot quicker than people speak.
Right.
Pretty much everybody does. So I think it's better to read it. But the choice is there. It's completely voice acted now. That is my understanding.
So tell me about I caught a tailwind of one of your episodes. You have a new town builder. Now I love town builders.
So I played 2 like town builders, and they're both kind of like wholesome in their art style.
Yeah.
One is called Horticular, where you have these little gnomes. And so that game, you actually have to decide what you want to have to accommodate for different animals, which increase like the happiness rating, I guess, and all this stuff. And then the other game is one that's designed to be like, you can put on like a third of your screen. It's called Gourdlets. You can clip it to like a third of your screen and just kind of like chill around while you work on something. You can just put it to the side and like mess with it, look at your little Gourdlets. And they like, depending on how much stuff you build, they get more happy or not, and they develop.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's
like
almost
a little
like
Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like you have a little Tamagotchi on the side of your screen. You can just kind of build your little screen.
Oh, that's neat.
You know, you're working on your documents or whatever, editing your video, and then you just like look over and mess with your little Gourdlets. So it's kind of a fun subset of games. Where it's kind of like, you know, those little sand raking things people buy, or it's just kind of like chill. You're not like killing monsters trying to survive. You're just kind of putting together your little Lego set, basically. You know, that kind of thing.
I dig it. It's
pretty cool.
I like casual games like that. I mean, I mean, speaking of town builders, you know I love a good town builder.
Yep.
Frostpunk is probably right now.
It's funny because that's, even though they're both town builders, that's like a polar opposite.
Absolutely, I know.
Where it's just happy fun. Ooh,
but
we're
talking about mechanics here. Yeah, we're talking about mechanics here.
And it's like everybody's gonna die.
Everyone's gonna die. We have
everyone's gonna freeze to death.
People that are dying
children.
so we can survive. Yeah.
So it's like, oh look, I got a bumblebee moved into my pond.
Ooh, no, don't eat me. Yeah. But, you know, Frostpunk 2 is on the way, and I think it's coming out September, and it's definitely, everyone's waiting for that game. I have, there's a really cool game, I can't remember the name, Lasaria, and it's actually like a Tibetan town builder, where you're building a nice little Tibet monk town on the side of a mountain, and you gotta like manage everything. It's really neat. Definitely more chill. I mean, it does have its challenges. It has different, so like resource gathering and all this kind of stuff. So, this is down the road, but you ever heard of the Anno games? Mm-mm. Well, they're very popular city builders. Anno 1700 and whatever. They're making a Anno, I don't know, 300 or something like that, but it's back. We're pretty much building Rome. And it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to play that game. I thought there was another town that I want to play. But yeah, so Frostpunk is like, but there's another one that came out a while ago. It was called, it was a space station, Axiom. Oh no! See, I need to prepare before I come in and talk about this. It was a space. You had to build your own space station, and you traveled around the solar system, and you accidentally blew up the moon. Oh God! Anyway, it was very similar to Frostpunk. Had that survival town builder. Yeah. But it was in a space station. It's really good. I should have looked this up. I can't remember what it is. I'm gonna look it up right now so you'll know exactly what it is. But go ahead.
All right. Other gaming news. One of the first YouTube videos I made, I covered this super indie game called Residential Crusaders. I don't know if you remember it, but it's like that side-scrolling game. It's like the pictures. Made? Yeah, like well, the game's not out yet, but two of the guys that put that game together watched and commented on my videos. I'm one of the only people that's made a video on this game.
On what game is it?
Yeah. The guy who like was wearing the top hat and doing the goofy like bad guy voice, he commented, and then they made an official account for the game. They've been putting up like devlogs.
Oh wow!
They both watched it and said, "Hey, when this comes out, are you gonna play it?" I was like, "Yeah, probably."
That's cool. So you're getting your first endorsement. That's cool. That's funny.
Yeah, so the guy who played like the main bad guy, and I guess just the official account, both watched it and was like, hey,
that's a goofy.
I'm one of like 3 people who've made a video on this game. Like, I looked it up, I could only find like 3 or 4 videos on it.
You're a pioneer, bro.
I know. Because I was trying to cover different interesting games, so I was just kind of going through what had demos. Yeah, that was one of the ones that popped up.
That's funny, man. Ixion is the game.
Ixion.
Yeah, I remember. I was like Axiom or. Yeah, Ixion is the game. So that way I got to redeem myself for not knowing. I can't remember that game. So that way people can look it up. But it came out a couple years ago. But I have yet to play it. And when I'm in the city building mode, I'll definitely play it. Yeah. But yeah, city builders have always had a place in my heart. I remember the first city builder that I've ever played, and probably one of the grandfather of all city builders, Sim City.
Oh, yeah.
And I played it on the Super Nintendo, bro. And that thing, it took me years to figure out how to get, because in that game, to getting to 500,000 population was pretty much you beating the game. And that was difficult. But you know the funny thing about getting to $500,000, or $500,000 people in your city, becoming a megapolis, was to not use any roads and only train tracks. It was just a weird glitch,
Well, it's probably because I guess the trains support more people on them.
No, it's because there's no traffic. It's just weird. It's just you can so your zones get developed even though you have trains. So you know what's funny? The only way I figured that out is because it came, like SimCity came with this huge fucking instruction manual in the Super Nintendo box, and you look at the back page. And you look at this is what a megapolis looks like. Well, I looked really close at the picture. I was like, it's all train. I'm like, okay, fuck it. It's all railway. So let's do it. Yeah. And it worked. So I was like, okay, we're good. So yeah, it pretty much boils down to you have no traffic
That's when you could buy like paper manuals for games.
Yeah.
I still remember those even when I was just little, like at the school book fair, they would have like cheat code books.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Guides for games.
Now it's pretty much non-existent.
I saw, I'll have to look up the name of it. But someone made a book that's like a walkthrough of like a dark fantasy game. Mm-hmm. The only catch is that dark fantasy game does not exist. They just made the book. And it's like a really cool book, fully illustrated.
It's weird.
Where they kind of don't go in depth with the mechanics of this game. Yeah. They're just using the framework of an old book guide to tell the story and they explain how like the universe. It's pretty cool. I'll have to look it up.
Neat. Speaking of that, I've been seeing a lot of like D&D type of games, codexes, for different kind of books, like, because I don't know, sometimes I get board game channels on my YouTube. They're just guys that are just into board games, and they'll just talk about, like, review board game, like we're reviewing movies and video games, but they just do board games.
Yeah.
But some of them just do these D&D books codexes that people who run D&D games. And there's these really underground codexes that are out there with these games. Yeah. I'm like, dude, maybe I can do one of those. Yeah. I just got to get into the calculations and whatever they use. But
I watched. I'll have to find it. This guy made a video essay about the world of fake games, where there's that book I talked about, and a lot of artists will use 3D programs to make renders of games that don't exist. And they kind of get a following because it's kind of like an art project where maybe they don't have the resources to actually develop a game, but then these things exist, and through the mechanics that they put on screen, they can convey these fictional stories and what would happen within them through the language of how we understand, oh, this means this, oh, this meter is red, so this character is in danger. Using that visual language to, tell stories, make pieces of art. Stuff like that.
Wow. Pretty snazzy. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about your channel and what you've been working on with the games that you like. It seems like you like a lot of you like a lot of different games.
Yeah.
Because actually, most of the time, you like your single player first person games.
I mainly like single player games,
which is funny because most of the time you're not. I meant shooter games, excuse me. But but you've been playing, like, I was impressed to see you play some city builders. I was like, oh, that's neat. Brother's trying to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to branch out in the games I play, and I want to play more indie games. And those have been getting a lot more creative recently. They're not just boomer shooters.
They always seem to be. There's always creative.
Because you got to get creative because you don't have the budget to do all the stuff you want.
Yeah.
You can't just throw $1 million at a super hyper realistic MMORPG FPS TTI. You can't do that. You have to come up with something interesting that you're able to do.
And it's clever.
Yep.
It's almost like, it's kind of funny because some of these indie game developers are so clever that people that, back in the Nintendo era, the 8-bit era, the 16-bit era, you could have executed those game design ideas back then and they would have worked. But they're so clever now. Like, it's so cool to reinvent the wheel and seeing being reinvented.
Go back, see what works.
It's neat, and it's really clever. And that's so, everyone loves indie developers now, especially I think there's a huge rebellion against AAA games.
Yep.
It has been brewing for so long.
Speaking of that news, Call of Duty.
Oh God!
They made one of those like Modern Warfare, and they're releasing a game called Modern Warfare Remastered.
Okay, yeah.
And this indie team put together a mod. They put together a mod that you had to actually purchase Modern Warfare. Right, and you had to purchase that, use those files, and then you could install the mod.
Right.
Well, a day before the game released and the mod released, whoever owns it, I guess it's Activision or something, sent cease and desist letters to this mod crew for this game that was super old.
Yeah.
And apparently there was some exploits in the game to where people who play the game get their computers hacked sometimes. That's how bad the security is. And even they won't let this mod team have it. Even though it's not a market replacement, because you have to have a verified purchase of the game to play it. So it's not piracy.
Right, yeah.
You have to... They still put the iron boot down on this developers.
Dude.
And so people came together, they refunded all of their purchases of this game and review bombed the fuck out of their Steam page. Wow. It's PC players doing this. You can't really do it on console. Good. So yeah, it went from like positive reviews to just like they did the Helldivers when Sony pulled that sketchy stuff.
Well, what happened with Helldivers?
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No. Because that was a game doing so well. Everyone loved that game.
So right after it was doing very well, hold on, let me think back here. So they did something with their user agreement where only people from certain regions could play Helldivers.
Okay.
And so, but people in those regions had already purchased it.
Region locked. Okay.
So all of a sudden, all these people have purchased this game. Now they're region locked out of it, even though they already spent all this money. And they say, "Oh, well, just lie. Say you're from the United States." Well, that's against their policy.
Yeah, but they shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
that's
you shouldn't have to
crazy.
do that. Yeah.
Why do they do that?
I don't know.
That is fucking nuts, bro.
I don't know.
That is not cool.
Yeah.
Right now, well, I don't know. Like, there's a huge thing going on with Bungie right now. It pretty much Sony is always they bought Bungie, but apparently Bungie was so shitty and so corrupt.
Yeah.
Sony was like, "Fuck you, we're taking this over. Like, you guys suck." Even though Destiny, I don't know, their last expansion came out, and it actually, I think it did fairly well. It actually did better than the last Destiny patch, but I think it was Lightfall. Because I played a little Destiny. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I never was invested in the story because it's very convoluted and it's very hard to get in. New players get confused. I got confused as fuck. I didn't know what to buy. I didn't know what to fucking do. I just knew I wanted to play multiplayer. That's all I cared about, right? Because I like the multiplayer. We'll have to talk about a game that's somewhat related to Bungie developers in a second, but apparently the Bungie bureaucracy was so bad, Sony was just like, "Fuck, no, we're done." So they pretty much there's another studio within Bungie that Sony is pretty much So for better or for worse, Bungie's still there, quote unquote. They might rename the studio something, they might not, but. So again, because Sony owns Bungie, so it's another Sony situation. They're probably going to put a lot of pressure on the new Marathon game that I'm kind of excited about because they want it to perform like Helldivers, and that's going to be rough. Yeah, because it's going to be an extraction shooter, and extraction shooters are very volatile because you have to protect the game. Like, you can't have any hackers in those kind of games. Yep. And that's, I mean, you're going to have holes, but the counter defense, the counter hackering has to be just on par. And so it has to always evolve. And cybersecurity is always evolving because the hackers get smarter, then the
devs get smarter, then the hackers get smarter.
It's an ongoing Cold War.
Oh, speaking of which, it seems like Valve has just won a battle against the hackers. For a while, Team Fortress 2, unless you're on like your own server, was damn near unplayable.
Wow.
Because they had bots that it seemed like everything they were doing was engineered to ruin the game. So they would all be snipers, which is balanced by human deficiencies in aiming, we'll say. Yeah. But if it's computer, the way it works, you can instant headshot anyone at any time if it's a bot. Oh, they will spam links to like scam websites. Oh god. The chat bot would say in the voice chat racial slurs. Oh, so if you're a Twitch streamer, it's going to be hard to play this game because all of a sudden some bot's going to pop on and say stuff that's going to get you banned. Spamming links, making the game unplayable by killing everybody instantly. And there's like dozens of these bots. Yikes. And in the game, you can only kick one player at a time. It was just a mess. But apparently, Valve cracked down on these accounts. What they would do is, I guess, they found the main account and then all the sock puppet accounts they would put the bots on. Yeah. They deleted all the free-to-play accounts and then sent a message to the main account saying, "Hey, if you do this again, your account will be deleted. You're done. You're done." So, yeah, and apparently I played it the other day, and it seemed like it was doing good. I didn't run into a single cheat bot. Yeah.
Kind of what happened to Titanfall 2, which is an amazing multiplayer game. But the servers, like, they got so hacked, and so you couldn't play it at all. So fans that loved the game created their own private servers and turned the game alive again. And it had a sort of revision. A revisement, if you will. But anyway, it was...
you got it right the first time. Revisited,
revised. Yeah, right the first time. We're revising it here. Whoa, we revised, baby. So anyway, but yeah, I wonder if just hackers just use it as like practice, like a playground, just to practice their craft.
I think some people just like to ruin things. People like to make other people miserable.
You get nothing. You're not stealing anything. You're not getting anything.
You just want to ruin something.
I think it's a playground. I think it's a practice.
Yeah, they just want to. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
That's right, man. So, yeah, make a fucking musical out of a fucking good movie.
Different Joker.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't that was Alfred said that, right, in the Dark Knight movies?
Yeah.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
That's right. That's right, man.
Did you ever see that guy that made those memes? He did a great Christian Bale impression and a great Alfred impression, where he's like, "Mr. Wayne." What was his girlfriend's name in those movies?
Oh, got Rachel.
Mr. Wayne, Rachel sent me some pictures. He said, "I just looked at them a little bit, Master Wayne." It's so funny. Alfred, what are you talking about? What did you say? It was just it just messed away.
Oh, that's fucked up. They were on your telephone. They were only meant for you, but it was
Master Wayne. They were meant for you, but I had to say them. Something like that.
Dude, the internet will always fucking just be the
They'll
funniest.
always clown on anybody, dude.
Speaking of clowning, and something that pertains to modern Twitch streamers, you know, that meme of Dr. Disrespect trying to make a comeback.
Yeah.
When he's like playing chess.
And they photoshopped it.
And they photoshopped it as a little girl in the end. Oh man, that was rough, bro. But honestly, he's just trying to save like his defense is now. It was all an elaborate plan the whole time.
Well, it seems like he's trying to, because in the past people have gotten canceled for saying racist or homophobic or whatever stuff. All of a sudden, overnight, they were conservative. All of a sudden, so it seems like he's like. So when he put that meme up, he's like, "Oh, you're woke. You have pronouns in your bio." All of a sudden, he's political. I think he's trying to latch on to something to try to be like, they just tried to cancel me because all of a sudden I have political opinions.
Right? No, it's
even though they were
definitely
never
his saving
public
face,
before.
and his defense is totally artificial because if this was part of an elaborate, you don't lose all your sponsorships, millions and millions upon millions of dollars of sponsorships just because you're trying to make some kind of play. No, you're fucking not. No. You're just trying to get you self-incriminated on the internet. That came from your mouth, not anybody else's, and that's when people went what and jump ship.
Yep.
So honestly, it seems like he still has a following. He's gonna be coming back, and if he does get the viewers again, it might take a couple of years. The sponsors will be back. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
People follow the money.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't see the chats. I don't think anybody is. I don't think he crossed the border into illegal activity.
No,
so he's gonna be able to come back.
Right. He didn't. He didn't break any laws.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. That shit was cringe. Even dancing around an issue.
Yeah. Well, we don't even. Actually, to this point, I don't think we actually know what was said.
No, he's never released the text.
So,
he's never,
but if it was bad enough for him to not even deny it, it must be pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we don't know, but it must be pretty bad.
Yeah. So it just is what it is. I'm not going to be a listener. I was a listener. And
you actually watch the streams? I never really.
Well, I watch him every once in a while. And I remember I liked his music was
the
cool.
best a man can get.
I love that shit. That was so cool, and it was so sad to see that fall from grace. I think people, if this is kind of an interesting comparison, but like Bill Cosby, two words, Bill Cosby. Okay, everyone loved this guy.
Yep.
You know, everybody loved that he was a family man, and then it came out that he did all this crazy shit behind the scenes. And it only happened when he was older.
I put the Quaalude in the pool.
So it's an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
You know, and it just feels like I don't know. I still feel like he's going to be able to make a comeback because he definitely has still a following, and so it bring me to another person that I think was somewhat unjustifiably, even though I disagree with his statement, unjustifiably persecuted was Penguin.
Oh, Penguin. Moist Critical.
Moist Critical.
Yeah.
Even though, his comparison was cringe when he talked about how chopping a little boy's penis off was similar to sports or changing sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, people aren't perfect.
Yeah.
Hell, well, I'm not perfect. Aiden's probably close to perfect that I've ever known. But
I think he was trying to do like the more acceptable opinion, but kind of fumbled the bag.
Right.
And he fumbled what he was trying to do in such a spectacular way that he made Sneeko look good.
Yeah, how are you gonna make Sneeko look good?
Bro.
Because he was arguing that he should marry a 16-year-old or some shit.
He said that he should be able to.
That's
marry
fucking
minors.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's fucking retarded. All right, just shut the fuck up. You know. I mean, like I said, Penguin made a weird decision. And to his, sort of some, I don't know, defense, but I don't agree with the government getting involved with minors. Period.
Yeah.
And sort of overreaching power of the sanctity of the power of the parents over their children. Okay, and this is what this is really about. The state overreaching their power. So not to make this too political. But unfortunately, in a state like California, where you're allowed to give minors puberty blockers, you're allowed to give minors sex changes. In a state, and maybe in a state like that, if all of a sudden you have a minor who, for whatever reason, wants to, like, oh, mommy, I'm gay, and I don't want to have a penis in, or whatever. Yeah. And the parents go, oh, yeah, you're right, son. Let's go ahead and do it. Like, you know, I don't agree with that shit. I think it's fucking atrocious. But what are you going to do to you have no legal recourse to stop that? Yeah. Especially when you're a state that is okay with it, and the parents and the... Yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to fucking do? You can't. You can't do anything. It's terrible, and it's disgusting. But, you know, so... You know, it's sad. It's just sad. You know, so...
But I think he's still mostly doing all right. I think it's actually the podcast I was watching when you walked in here to record this, the Red Thread. He actually stepped down and got replaced with Oopaville.
What's the Red Thread? Tell me about the Red Thread.
Hold on, let me finish the thing first.
All right.
He stepped down from like the podcast he was hosting, and he's mostly just doing his own videos. I think he maybe figures he's not prepared enough to do that kind of long form content with like real hard opinions like that.
Yeah.
I think he's a little embarrassed or feels unprepared, so he kind of stepped down.
That's fair. I mean, you know, sometimes, like, you know, when you're stepping in a ring like that, you're changing the context of your public persona.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's always been critical, always critical. He's always been critical of, I guess, video game bureaucracy. He's been political most of the time. He is.
I don't think a lot,
but he does make statements on popular culture.
Yeah, popular culture.
And he usually seems pretty based for the most part.
Pretty based. Moist critical is based.
I would think. I mean, I didn't see a lot.
I guess it depends on how you define based.
Well, I guess.
Usually, I don't know.
Well, he's a gun owner now.
I don't know how long, but yeah.
He's a gun owner. Yeah.
So is Wendigoon.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so the Red Thread, it was Moist Critical, Wendigoon, and then Zealot on PC. I can't think of his name, but that's his handle. Anyway, they would make videos about conspiracy theories and cryptids.
Nice.
So like the Denver International Airport. I'm watching the episode on Skinwalker Ranch. They covered stuff like that. So they cover conspiracy theories and cryptids and stuff like that mostly. So he stepped down from that, but he's still making his videos. And I think he still does his Twitch stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I said, no one's perfect. And if Dr. Disrespect can bounce back from a pedophile, incrimination, if he makes some kind of weird comment like that, you're so right how Sneeko got no pushback from this sort of,
Well, it might be because it's already kind of his positions on that are already known, so it's like that's old news.
I see.
Now we got Charlie. We already know. Yeah.
That's fair. So I think people were a little too hard on my boy Moist. I think it was. I mean, I don't agree with him, and the comparison was fucked up. But I mean, we're all. I'm sure I'm going to say something fucking stupid. You know me. I'm going to say something dumb.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, you need to make an account on somewhere so I can plug your stuff.
Well, I don't have any. I'm not active right now. I'm just going to be. I might. I don't know yet. I was thinking about. I think everyone has a YouTube page these days, but I might just do it just because I need an outlet. I'm thinking, like, what kind of content would I do? I don't think I'd be a video game guy, even though I do play video games.
You talk about you're into crypto? You talk about that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm more into... I would like to do a philosophical, maybe, like, somewhat occultism kind of vibe.
Yeah, you could do it.
Sort of. I mean, maybe in the self-help realm, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of that.
That's what I said. So
it's
Twitter has actually become monetized now. So I'm using the phone for backup recording, but I guess I'll check my Twitter. Actually, I just need to check my camera roll. So Tim Pool.
Oh yeah.
He posted his pay period, his checks, August 2nd to August 16th, $5,600. July August 2nd to July 19th. I'm going backwards. $3,200. Between July 19th and July 5th, $5,300. July 5th and July 21st, $3,100.
Oh wow!
So like every 2 weeks, he's making like $3,000 to $5,000 just off engagements on his tweets.
Oh wow!
Not even his video.
Whoa.
He screenshotted his
Well, that's kind of cool that he did that.
deposits.
Like that's pretty interesting.
So yeah, if you sign up to Twitter Premium, if your tweets get enough activity, you get paid off your engagement on your tweets.
That's a lot of engagement. I mean,
Yeah.
of course he's getting huge now.
Yep.
He's got he's got senators, and he interviewed Donald Trump, not on his show. I think on his show, but he wasn't at his studio. He was at the RNC.
It was like a Zoom call or something.
No, I think he was at the RNC, and he caught him there. And anyway, but no, he's getting big, man. So, and I like Tim. I like Tim a lot. I actually find myself, I come up with certain political angles, and the next thing I know, Tim's talking about it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm really, I resonate really.
He's literally me for real.
No. I don't wear the beanie though, but I think the most epic thing would be a beanie reveal. I think they probably joked him about, like, he's got it, dude. Maybe I think one day you can see a Tim Pool running for office or something, and then he's gonna have to eventually take the beanie off.
No, he keeps on. He keeps on.
But I will say this: he gets hot-headed, and he has a quick temper, and sometimes he can get be a little spaz. He's a little spazzy, but I like the guy. I definitely agree with almost 90+% of his views. But anyway, it is what it is. But he's a little spazzy. I can kind of get the little spazziness in him. I'm like, oh, okay, like, all right. But anyway, he was on. He had this one guy. I can't remember his name, but he's a pretty predominant right-wing figure that had a small interview with Destiny, that piece of trash. I can't remember his name, but he was the guy that, remember there was a panel of dudes. I think it was during a crypto convention or something, and the guy got in that other guy's face, and he was a big buff guy, and that other dude.
I think I don't know the names, but I think I've seen that clip. He's some alpha influencer.
Yeah,
yeah, I think
so. The guy that the dude that was just sitting down, just chilling, just kind of made the other super alpha male look like an idiot, and it's that guy. I can't remember his name. He's very popular now, and he's very smart. Debates really well. He was on Tim Pool's show, and because Tim Pool talks about the Civil War and how political things are changing, and it's a huge possibility for a civil war. And he argues that, well, I wouldn't call it a civil war. I did it, and I'm kind of on the side that civil war is looking pretty close. Of course, you can reframe it however you want. Maybe it doesn't fit the paradigm that you're looking for. But if you have a federal actor or two state actors in some way, whether or not there's a federal versus state or a city versus state or whatever, you're going to have civil strife, right? So I think it has to do with semantics a little bit and how you want to frame it. But I don't know. But Tim Pool got really in his face, like, oh my God, freaked out. And he was like, do you even read any books? I was like, but I mean, this guy's smart. You might disagree with each other, but this he knows his shit.
I see. It always makes people look bad when you, unless it's a straight up debate, between presidential candidates, then it actually works the opposite way. But if you're doing a podcast or a show, and you try to dunk on someone for not being smart, it makes you look bad, not the person who's not smart.
You're right.
A good example of this is Bill Maher had the damn Hawk Tuah girl on.
Oh, no.
And he starts trying to, quiz her on, World War I.
Oh, come on.
Stuff. And it's that just makes you look like a bully and a dick.
It does. Piers Morgan falls into that trap sometimes.
Does he do that a lot?
Well, I think he's gotten better. He kind of went from being super lefty to sort of middle road, kind of on the right, because he has checked feminist ideology, overreaching feminism. He has checked Andrew Tate a little bit, because he had Andrew Tate a couple times on his show. Actually, Andrew Tate made him look like an idiot. He was playing chess with him, and Andrew Tate takes his queen in the third move, and he was funny because Tate was making this monologue speech.
Yeah.
And then Piers Morgan's like, oh, "What are you talking about? Just play chess." Okay, I'll just take your queen. He was like, "Oh God," so it was just so funny.
Bro.
It was so because Tate plays his father was a champion chess player, so he's very good at chess. Anyway, so Piers Morgan is kind of I can't trust him. He's kind of a double agent. I really don't know what I don't know, man. But it is what it is. But Piers Morgan does have a bully. He has this he frames the question in a certain way. berates you a little bit. I can definitely tell a guerrilla warfare-esque sort of, what's the Berserk interviewer.
But unless it's a straight up debate, trying to make fun of someone for being dumb does not make you look good.
No, it doesn't.
Unless, it's like a political debate between candidates. Then it's, good because you're trying to explain why you're better for the position.
Especially when it's, based on fact. Let's just take Trump and Biden, for instance. That debate that pretty much sealed Biden's fate where the Democrats just ousted him.
Yeah.
Immediately. It was like they were ready to do that, right? Yeah. The next day, the narrative was, get him out, he's stupid, get him out. When they ran cover for him for the past 3.5 years, we all knew, everyone that paid attention knew the man couldn't walk up stairs.
Yeah. Okay?
We all knew the guy had dementia. We all knew he was a little girl hair sniffer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ice cream sucking. But no. But the CNN didn't want anybody to know that, so he was the greatest ever. Whatever, dude. And now they just turncoat on him because he's unpopular.
Yeah.
Power has a funny thing of doing that to people.
Either.
But yeah. So when Trump was making fun of him, that was perfect. It's I don't even think he knew what he was saying. That was perfect, dude.
Yeah.
But it was so true. What is he saying, man? This is terrible.
Do you think you just fell out of a coconut tree? Have you noticed how Kamala Harris, whenever she speaks, she sounds like this isn't even political. She just sounds like a drunk person trying to sound sober.
I think they call her Wine Mom of America.
She sounds like she's really hammered and trying to. We live in the context of which the time that we are
live the passage of time. Yeah, she is garbage.
She sounds drunk. She's trying to be sober.
She's I don't even say a master at word salad. She's just word salad extraordinaire, dude. I don't know, man. It's scary the times we're living in now. I know we've already went down the political road, but I'm trying not to doom speak right now.
Doom scrolling.
It's pretty rough, man.
Doomer.
It's just rough.
We should have called the podcast Zoomer versus Doomer.
Maybe we can, or we could do an episode Zoomer versus Doomer. Zoomer and Doomer. We didn't even introduce ourselves.
Doomer. What do you mean?
We didn't introduce our names.
Yeah, I didn't want to use my real name.
Okay, all right. Well, if you want to stand on it.
That's what I was thinking. Well, no, I don't. I'm not trying to keep it secret. You can find my face if you can find my Facebook. And, I just wanted to, So I like going by Cast Iron Macaroni. Maybe you can find my real identity.
Do you think that having a political slant in your podcast will interrupt? It seems like your views are picking up. You might get some game and developer endorsements. You think that will hinder your?
I don't think so.
Most gamers just stick with the games.
Yeah, I don't think so.
They don't like the deviate.
I don't think I have any super wild opinions on things.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Just being a right winger. Even if you're, I don't consider you a right winger. But if you're talking,
but some people would though, because I am pro gun and stuff. So people are like, boom, which I think that's kind of a problem with how people approach politics.
Yeah,
is you agree with one thing and you assume, now you must agree with this.
Everything's very polarized these days, and that's just the nature of the beast.
But I guess that's just because how I look at myself. I don't consider myself a right winger or a left winger.
Right.
But
that's how the world views everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just so polarized.
I don't know.
There's no nuance, and it's rough. So I don't know. I just didn't know how you were going to approach maybe something to think about. Because some people, some gamers, most Let's Play gamers don't even try to touch it. They just do the games and have that.
I have my boy Markiplier, the queso, squeaky clean. Yeah.
So I don't know, but maybe having a political slant might not be the worst thing. I don't know.
While I'm doing my gaming stuff, I don't,
No, of course not.
It's really just this.
But having a podcast where you talk your views.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might. But then again, there's so many different so many different first person shooter guys who definitely lean right wing, and they haven't lost their endorsements or anything because they have viewers. As long as you keep the viewers, at least if the viewers know where you're at and they're your viewers no matter what. That's who they like you because they just like you. It doesn't matter.
I think that's the most successful Let's Players. You're not watching necessarily for the games, maybe sometime, but you're watching because you want to see that guy.
It's true.
Queso will play some terrible game that's awful. Right. Nobody's ever seen it. But I'm watching to see him reacting to it, him responding to his chat.
Right, because you like his character.
Because I like Queso's persona.
Yeah.
or Markiplier's public persona, or any of these guys. Yeah. Like, they could be playing anything. Now, sometimes if a game comes out that I want to see about it, I might look at their video to see the game. But they could be playing anything, and I'm still going to watch it.
Right.
So if people like you, you're good. You can play anything, basically.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, if you just make, like, a Twitter account or something, just to have a link to just drive traffic to the episodes, that could work. I made my, what am I on Twitter? Macaroni on Twit. I refuse to call it X. Fuck it, X. Macaroni on Twit. It's Twitter. I'm not calling it X.
You live it in the dark ages.
I'm not calling it.
You're already getting older, bro. You don't want to change your ways, bro.
It's not. It's
You're getting stuck in your ways.
It's not X. It's fucking Twitter. I thought that was crazy when I heard Dad say X today. We were over our dad's house.
Well, he's more progressive than you
X.
are. He's changing with the times than you are, bro.
X, bro.
He's gonna be more sophisticated.
I'm dead naming X. I'm refusing to call it X. It's Twitter.
It's so funny. So yeah, guys, just to recap, Alien Romulus is fucking amazing. You need to see it. Oh, I didn't even give you a 1 to 10 rating on Romulus.
Oh yeah, how many face huggers out of 10 do you give Alien Romulus?
Honestly, bro, this is a hot take. Now, being a fan of the series, knowing that there is a lot of nostalgic kind of scene building and cinematography in the movie that's like got a lot of nods to all the older movies, it can't be a 10. Even though I love the movie, it's amazing, it's good to see. I almost think it's the best movie just because there's an emotional attachment that I never got from any of the other movies. Even though you're always emotionally attached to Ripley and her saving the child, especially in Aliens, the second one. That is always going to hit you. But this is like times that by 6 other people. Like, it got you. Right? Because even though the Marines were cool in the second movie, you didn't feel that attached to them, right? Yes, it was heartbreaking to see him die and stuff, but not like this movie. This movie is a higher stakes. So, having that said...
How many face huggers out of 10? How many face huggers? There's 10 face huggers.
8.5, bro.
8.5 face huggers out of 10.
That's fucking hard. It doesn't get it. I almost like give it enough time, it'll easily be a 9. I only reserve hard 9s and especially hard 10s. You can only become a 10 in my book if you have at least been out for a decade, and your movie had time to saturate among the collective consciousness of humankind. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's the only time you have to. That's the only I can only go to the past movies and say they're 10s, even though they might not be. Like on the Richter scale, if you watch the movie, like if it would come out today, maybe it wasn't the greatest movie, but the cultural effect that it had is a 10. Like the first Alien movie it has to be a 10. It's just because it had all that time. It created so many worlds. You can't deny its significance. So it has to be a 10. Even though it's not the perfect movie. I mean, me and my boy Keegan, shout out to Keegan if you're watching this podcast that I went to go see the movie with today. One of the main gripes about the first movie is that in the last scene, the aliens just kind of like take a nap. He doesn't like try to attack Ripley. I don't remember that scene. Like the scene is like she's in the escape pod, and she like accidentally like not steps on him, but like is doing something on the computer, and he's like stuck in the ventilation shaft, and he like reaches his arm out, and he just like stays there. He doesn't like come to go get her, and he's been aggressive the whole movie. It's really weird, and that's the only gripe that I have about that movie. Like it was just, I mean, it doesn't ruin the movie but it's just so goofy. It's like, why are you not attacking her? Like, did you all of a sudden get like a sugar nap? Like you get like a little sugar diabetic coma? Like, you gotta take a nap from eating all the brains. I don't know, dude. So it's a little goofy, but even though that was like not a perfect movie, it's still a 10 just due to its cultural significance. Yeah. And there's so many movies like that. So this movie is definitely an 8.5. I give it another couple months, it'll be a 9.
So really, out of the 3 movies, the only one that's not recommended is Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands.
Deadpool, Wolverine, good.
Absolutely.
Romulus, good.
Romulus
Borderlands, trash. I'm not even gonna rate it out of 10. It's just not even worth talking about.
Most movie critics totally agree that Borderlands is just total trash.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's got a 50% audience score.
It's probably because it has, like you said, nice special effects, good explosions, some action scenes.
Oh, I didn't say nice special effects. The CG in this movie
It
is not
has
good.
explosions, and it has witty comments. Witty comments.
Witty's a stretch. Witty's a stretch.
Really?
Witty's a stretch.
Like wannabe witty?
It's a long stretch. Yeah, okay, wannabe witty. Feels like it was written by an AI, not even one of like the most recent one. Chat GPT-3 wrote this damn movie. It was rough.
Well, damn, yeah, that's a shame. So I don't know. Next month we'll definitely. I don't know. I think Gladiator 2 is definitely on my radar. Joker is interesting. Like if you want to go get together and watch Joker 2, because it's both an movie.
At some point, I'm gonna watch Joker. Yeah, the new one.
Well, if you ever you ever get a hair up your fucking butt and you want to go see it, I might go with you.
All right. I'm probably gonna do what I did to see Borderlands. I just saw it after I left the gym. Come right next to the theater. So
right.
That's like I had no time to watch it before we recorded this. So I was like, all right, Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday when I went to the gym. Yeah, because Wednesday I didn't go because my buddy from out of town was in town. I was like, all right, this is the only. And then Thursday couldn't do another. And then so I was like, all right, today I gotta see it.
Yeah. I'm so glad I waited. I was gonna see the Romulus early. I'm so glad I waited because dude, I will never not see a movie in Dolby. I have to have my seats. I have the sound. Dude, the bass will rumble your seats. It was so sick, bro. I don't think it was so worth it, man. Anyway, all right. Well, anything else you want to comment on? Anything current events that we might have missed? I mean,
no, I think we covered everything that we really.
We even got into touching some politics a little bit, which I didn't. I wanted to try to avoid.
More like a commentary on the commentary.
Yeah, true. Because it's tough to talk about. It's tough. It's funny, especially these days when everything's political. It's tough to talk about the bureaucracy and the politics of video games without talking about the current state of the culture that we're in. Just because politics has infiltrated every crevice of our lives. Yeah. And it's sad because you might not remember a time, but I can remember a time when that wasn't the case. No one gave a
I've
shit.
not been alive in a time where politics wasn't talked about by even. There was a clip I saw where some little girl was upset because he's like, "Daddy called me a Democrat." She's about to cry.
That's hilarious, dude.
Bro, what?
That's fucking great, dude. Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, if you talked about politics, you were a nerd. Yeah. You were well, shut up, dude.
That's what Joey Diaz was saying. I heard him on the Theo Von. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
You're a fucking nerd, dude. No one cares about politics. Because everyone was on the same page. Everyone was whatever, America's got the big stick. We're good. You know what I mean? The world was great, Even though we were strangely imperialist, but that's a totally different, political commentary. But hey, at least we had the big stick. But guess what? We ain't got that shit no more, and that sucks. Or it's definitely being fought over right now.
Well, on that note, I guess speak softly and carry a big stick.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And until next time, episode 3 of the Rum Dum Pod is in the bag. Deuces.
Deuces.